Okay, we live? Okay, we live. So, as all you know, I think Daniel Glover, he's an artist, he's everything, right? So, as you can see, he made a music video. And it's just it's just resonating with just subliminal messages, a few hidden meanings and just overall just a lot of people are trying to do analysis. I want to do analysis. I taking sociology. I've taken all these. I taken intro into music appreciation. That's where you learn about all these different musics and jazz and all throughout the 1920s and 1930s. And I just want to offer my 2 cents on like whatever he's portraying in this one video. I'm gonna try to keep the video. I'm not analyzing what he says because I couldn't find any meaning to it. I bet there is meanings, and I bet people smarter than me are able to say more stuff on like what he's saying. But I'm just gonna focus on what he's doing and all the visual representations of these. Basically, everybody's trying to do their own little analysis, and I want to do my analysis of what I know and what I've learned throughout my college years. So let's get into this. First of all, this guitar is from Cuba. You can tell because it's kind of rounder. Okay, here we go. As you can see, some people thought this was the father of Trey Martin, the little kid who got shot or something. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing his name. Because of his beard, but no, he's just a regular old. He's a very talented guitarist. Okay. I want you to focus on the colors, right? Color representation is so important, especially for like if you're trying to set up what's it called, a visual representation of what you see in the world. As you can see here, there's not a lot of color. It's just white overall, right? And there's lighting. It's very lit. This could mean many things. This could mean like how people see the world, right? Just grays and whites, right? Um, Pay attention to this guy's attire. He's wearing a traditional Cuban. I think that's a traditional Cuban. I really don't know why Cuba is such a pinnacle place of where they're trying to go with this, because they have a Cuban guitar. He has a Cuban attire, but uh, it's just hidden meanings, right? If you can find meanings of the Cuban attire, go for it. Um, if you heard what he said, we just want to party something, right? I think he's trying to portray like, hey, we're just trying to have fun, but then it transitions to, hey, I just want to have fun or something like that. With this message, right? I want you to pay attention to Daniel Glover's attire. He has no shirt, and pay attention to his pants, right? Okay, if you see right here, the zipper, he has no zipper, right? He has no zipper. He has no shirt. He's wearing two chains, right? And I want you to pay attention to his facial and hair, right? I think he let it grow out. I think he was trying to portray something during this his physical representation of what he's trying to portray. No shirt. His pants are button not zippered, right? Button, right? Zippered pants came around I think around the 1910s and 1920s, but it was like such a commodity. that only the rich white elite were able to afford, right? But if you couldn't afford those type of like attire or like type of jeans, like zipper jeans, you were stuck with buttoning up or your pants, right? Um, so let's see here, and you see his facial expression right here. Um, I thought that was kind of interesting the way he portrays his facial expression. Uh, in the way he's moving, right? This is classic. Well, what I want to say is classic portrayal of what black actors used to do during the 1950s. And if you go over here, um, Joseph Baker, she was an amazing activist. She was right here. You can see my little tab right here, right? She was an activist and she was amazing. And she even fought in the French Revolutionary War, right? But her merits, what she did, weren't portrayed, right? Until because she was a performer, right? And she was like the first African performer that gained main appeal towards people, mainly whites at that time, right? Because in 1925, black people didn't have a lot of rights, right? And including France, right? She also fought in the, I think, the French Revolution, right? When the German occupation and all that stuff. So, you guys want to see this? This is a very old song. This is very old. You see the facial expression that she was I think she was an Afro American. This dance was portraying just a classic what the representation of what African Americans were during this time and what basically this is just a comedy sketch, right? Of representation of what Africans used to do in Africa, right? Just dance around and just make pictures. If you see right here, this facial expression, this was a classic thing during that time. Is um, just trying to portray what African Americans do during like their off times, and I think Daniel Glover was able to portray that perfectly here. If you pay attention to his movements, it gets more sporadic and more what's it called? More just puppet like. If you ever seen like a puppet dance, let me go over here. Puppet. If you ever see a puppet dance, right? Right there, right there. It's very spastic. It's very what's it called? It's very like weird, right? If you ever see like a puppet dance because people are controlling the strings and it's very stiff, but at the same time it's very smooth. So you see right here, this is very interesting. The little pose he's gonna do right here at the very end, right? His little pose right here is classic Jim Crow, right? Here, let me see. Classic Jim Crow, right? If you ever see like little posters of Jim Crow laws, like they had this really racist portrayal of African American, and this pose is classic Jim Crow, classic uh, is a portrayal of what segregation is, right? And especially the gun and the blindfold, it means a lot of stuff, right? People are always focusing on his little pose, right? But people are not focusing on this guy, right? His the artist that was playing guitar has a blindfold and he's pointing a gun behind his head, not at him, behind him, right? This can mean a lot of things, right? This can mean like African Americans are blind to whatever whatever this society is or something about society blinds them to the real dangers of just segregation and gun violence, right? um, Here goes right here when he says this is America, the little pose he did right there, right here, he says after he shoots this guy, this black man blindfolded, his little Jim Crow pose with the gun behind the head, and after he does that, he says, "This is America." As you can classically hear, right, you can infer that segregation is still present, even though you're still blind to whatever it is, right? And just gun violence affects segregation laws, right? Right here, right, when he puts the gun into the carrying of the gun, right? This little action right here, the carrying of the gun, um, it's just and pay attention to like I said in my video, pay attention to the colors. Um, Red signifies like a lot of things. It symbolizes passion. It symbolizes anger. It symbolizes love. All sorts of stuff, right? The fact that he used a red cloth to handle the gun with such care, you can say that that America takes care of more of guns than just whatever happened here, right? As you can see the bodies right there, classic dead pose, right? But the handling of the gun is so important in this one scene. After he says, "This is America," um, portrays a lot of what Donald Glover is trying to portray, that we care more for guns than the act of just killing people at random and just protection. As you see here, his sporadic dancing and sporadic performance are trying to keep your eyes off of this, right? Taking out the gun and then removal of the body, right? But you don't see that. If you watch this first, you don't see this, right? But the dancing is keeping you off of what's happening in the background, right? And notice that the color is still always white, gray, and white, right? Gray, there you have your grays. There is no color here, right? But as you can see, pulling over there, and he's trying to take your diversion off of the removal of the body. As you see right there, there's two black, I think two black people, I think. Here, let me go back. Right there, right? They're running away. They're running towards something. They have something in their hands, right? As you can see, for some reason, the use of Toyota and like imported cars are spastic in this car thing, right? But as you can see here, you can see these two people running with stuff, right? But you don't see that at first, right? You just think those two people running. But as you can, multiple times, as you can see right here, right? Daniel Glover's movements, his puppet movements, right? It just diverges your attention away to what's happening in the background. See, like his movements, right? Like I said, it's just puppet light, right? He's moving spastically. He's moving like he's an awesome dancer, right? But the way he's dancing is just so robotic and just it portrays like something about there's like strings on him and he's trying to perform while everything in the background is happening just to keep your eyes off the background. I know I said that like 3 times, but that's such an important visual cue of your attention trying to divert because this happened to me. I was just paying attention to him, right? I wasn't paying attention to the background. And I think the use of students, right? These are school uniforms, right? Students, you know, as here in America, I don't know about other places. I know in other places uniforms. Here in America, we don't use school uniforms. I think this is just a portrayal of just using just a visual cues of showing like uniforms mean unity. These dancers are dancing in unison, right? With Daniel Glover, meaning that hey, we're dancing in unison, but Daniel Glover is not in the same attire as these students, right? So you can say that, or you can be afraid that these students are following whatever Daniel Glover is doing, meaning blind denialism of just stuff happening in the background because we're so fixated on Daniel Glover. This could mean many things, right? Just we're so oblivious to what's happening in the world because we're so idolizing performers, actors, and just social media and stuff like that, right? So, so the students following whatever Daniel Glover doing, like dancing and stuff like that, can mean a lot of things. So there's that too. There's a, like I said right here, right? The students are following whatever Daniel Glover is doing. So there's a delay of what he's doing, right? Because they're so fixated on him, right? The students or the youth of America is so fixated of whatever the artist is doing or whatever like the star is doing, and just loves to portray whatever he's doing, regardless of what's happening in the background, right? As you can see here, there's a Toyota, and I think there's a little bag right there. I really can't see. It's just there's so much stuff going on. It's just so fast, but the camera is purposely doing that. It's following Daniel Glover with these students in the background. We're so fixated. The camera is so fixated on the artist performing that it's oblivious to what's happening in the background. He says this is America, right? What I just said is America, right? We're so fixated on like celebrities, artists, and just people of fame, right? And we, the youth of America, are following whatever the artist is doing. We're oblivious to the outside world and what's happening there, right? When he says this is America, I got the strap, guns in my community, I got to be packing, right? That could mean many things, right? It can mean that since we live in a society where the owning of guns is prevalent and it's so so what's it called? So prevalent and so just shined upon the gun ownership that hey, if the person next to me owns a gun, I have to own a gun just to protect myself. And the police have guns. The everybody has a gun in America, and that's why he says this is America. I'll be strapping, and stuff like that, right? So that could be also inferred, right? See right here the looting and the looting of the Toyotas and the looting of people just doing stuff. These students are oblivious to what's happening in the background, but they're following everything Daniel Glover is doing, dancing along with him, right? Because they're oblivious to what's happening in the background. See the students on top of the. It's just it portrays a lot of just the same thing I've been saying, right? Students following the artist. The artist. These just students are just happy, dancing, happy, just dancing in general, right? Laughing, having a good time following the artist, but oblivious to what's happening as these students are just on top of this, are just looking at whatever Daniel Glover is doing without regardless of what's happening in the background. As you see right here, I can't think of rice gum. If you ever know rice gum, those little what's it called? Guns that shoot money, right? This can mean a lot of things, right? As you can see, the students are just shooting money out of everything, not giving a damn in the world. Loving this can mean like hyper consumerism. It can mean a lot of things, right? Hyper consumerism, materialism of her wealth and fame, right? And just how these students portray, like, hey, focus on this student and focus on this car, right? Because in the later in the video, Daniel Gilbert does the same thing, but without doing this, right? But I think this is what the students are portraying, and this way are looking up to, like just fame, wealth, a higher status, and just oblivious to what's happening in the background, looting and stuff like that. See that little thing he does? His little that pop that thing right there. That's just classic 1950s. I don't know that dance, but that dance reminded me of if you go over here, right here, right here, right, blues dancing, right. Yeah, I know this might be a stretch, but this might be a stretch. But that this little dance right here, this little pop and locking, right? You could say that it's just portrayal of just black performers in general, right? Because that's what they want, right? That's what society wants out of a black performer, to be smiling, to be happy, to not use their platform or use something to be oblivious to what's happening in the real world, right? And the students or these youths, right, are oblivious and want to be like this performer, right? Oblivious to what's happening in the background. If you see this, there, I think the choir is saying "kill somebody" or something like that. Get your money, and it's just so happy, and it's like, hey, these you. It's just portrays a lot about the American society in general, right? Just get your money, right? The American dream, make money, live happy lives and stuff like that. Always me, right? Always material over me, right? That's what that little thing in the beginning, right? Let's all party, party just for me, right? You could say that, and this whole choir just saying kill somebody, get some money. You can say that's the American dream, right? People are dying in gun violence, but it doesn't really matter because we're making money, right? You don't care about it. You only care about what's happening in your lives. If you're living comfortably, you're just regardless of, you're just oblivious to everything that's happening in the real world. Black man, get your money. You can just say that that instead of touching on social issues and touching on other things, uh, black performers, or especially Don Martin. I think this is a Don Martin's portrayal, like saying like, if you're if you're a black man or if you're any person of color in America, you just need to shut up and make your money and and don't say anything about or be oblivious to anything happening in the real world, right? It that could be a stretch, but opinions, right? I love how he stumbles into the he's all dancing, he's really happy, but laughing and just dancing with the choir or whatever he's saying. Um, but as you can see right here, in a few seconds, that changes, right? Um, as that transitions from like happy to like just emotionalist, right? That could just be focus on his emotionalist state, right? Focus on his facial expression. The gunning down on the choir, the especially in the church attire, could be just a reference. I know a lot of people pointed this to the 2015 church massacre, where where that kid killed like 15 people, I think, no, 10 people in the church. I don't know. I don't think he used an AK, but as you can see, Daniel Glover's expression, right? Emotionless, right? He's just emotionless. He doesn't react to anything. He just shoots those people down. Then he says, "This is America," right? Right there, right? So you can say that this could be symbolism to saying like even all this loss of life, all this loss of life occurring through gun violence, and his emotional state is just saying that, yeah, the America is just numb to all this gun violence and just the loss of life in general, right? Because we're treating guns so highly and we're protecting machines of war, right? And the use of the red cloth, right? from the beginning and the end, from the beginning of the video, shows passion, love, caring, desire, right, of the guns, and him saying this is America. You can say that America cares for more about its guns than just the loss of life in general. Right here, right? We're always focused on whatever Daniel Glover is doing, even though we see a dude with a bat and a crowbar running, right? The camera's always fixated on him. Police officers chasing people, but we are oblivious to that because we're so fixated on whatever Daniel Glover is doing. Here we're all fixated. We have no clue what's going on right here, right? Because the camera is just so fixated on Daniel Glover and whatever his dancing, his love, his whatever he's saying. It's just symbolism of just whatever American society looks like as important, right? Just artists, right? See right here, his little, it's like, look at me, right? Look at me. Don't pay attention to the background. The students are back, right? They followed him, right? They went through all that thing, right? The killing of the choir, the killing of the black guy with the guitar, right? But they're happy, right? They're just dancing, following whatever Daniel Glover's doing. Like I said, this is the following of artists and the following of this central piece icon and the following of everything else, regardless of what's happening in the background, can just be signifying like, hey, this person, America is so fixated on just a central artist or a central idea, regardless of what's happening in the background, especially the youth of America. You see, like he's so his little dancing, right? It's just cops everywhere, anarchy, right? And he's just happy dancing. The youth are dancing with him, following whatever he does, right? Um, just central theme in this video, right? Uh, I love his little saying like I'm so Gucci, I'm so pretty, even though he's not wearing any Gucci products. He could say like it could this could be just making fun of just artists in general. Like whenever you see like a music video, let's say for Rice Gum, right? He just the artist just flexing, having like 20 Lambos in the music video, and just having like a bunch of people. He could just that could be just making fun of that, right? Lots of symbolism here. I love how this is happening, right? We have a bunch of police officers everywhere, just anarchy, fire, and the students are happy, dancing along with Daniel Glover. Um, he's just so happy, right? But the camera is always fixated on him. It's not fixated on what's happening in the background. Um, it's just you can say that people are just the same symbolism, right? The same meaning of whatever we're just whatever it's happening in the background is ignored because we're so fixated on just whatever is important, and that's Daniel Glover. He says that watch me move, don't pay attention to everything else, and these students are even following somewhat. There's a delay or whatever he's doing, right? Are just following him, right? This is very important, right? The students are so fixated on Daniel Glover that they're recording whatever he's recording, even though there's a fire in the background. They're recording everything he's doing, everything he's saying, and everything that he's portraying in this music video, right? Even the camera just does a brief comb over to whatever Daniel Glover's doing. But as you can see, the students are so fixated on him, they're ignoring everything. Just the same principles apply to whatever I said in the background of just society in general, just so fixated on one central thing and ignoring other things happening in the background, important things, right? Here, right? Pay attention to this, right? There's a fire going. These students are happy. They're just dancing along with Daniel Glover, regardless of everything that's happening in the background. I know I said that like 50 times, but it's just so prevalent in this music video. I have to point it out each time because it's just so impactful of just the American society in general, just America in general, right? This horse, right? This horse with the horse with a with a this horse with a cloaked figure, right? That's if you ever read the Bible, um, that's a symbol of like the four horsemen of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, right? Or the four horsemen of like the end times, right? And this symbolizes death, right? Death along with the police officer. Um, so this whole scenario can symbolize, right? It pans out, right? It's not focused on Daniel Glover. It's focusing on everything happening right here, right? Even though we briefly notice his horse, and the police officer, you can say that this police officer and this horse are following death itself, right? This could be impactful. Just Daniel Gloverman just saying that the police officers are here to help us. And I know this is just inferring, and I'm just inferring a lot of stuff, right? But Daniel Glover is just saying that death comes along with police officers in America, right? Or like death is always in the background, happening when it comes to police officers, regardless of what's happening in the background. And as you can see, this horse is following all these people, right? And these students are just dancing. Daniel Glover is just saying, just portraying like hundred bands, contraband, right? It's just I really do. I can't find any meaning behind it. I can't find any love behind it. Or any like symbolism. But as you can see, the horse starts from this and hit this, right? And it kind of follows the horse, but we're just fixated on Daniel Glover. We're not interested in this horse, right? Or this symbolistic character of death, right? We're just so focused on Daniel Glover. Right here, right? As soon as he does that little pose, right? You can see this facial expression of this guy is like, oh shit, right? That's just the hyper realism, and the police officer in the background, right? It's just the hyper realism of just that little motion, right? Just people doing that little motion. We're so in American society, we're so scared of gun violence and mass shootings and stuff like that. That little pose just poses so much impactful, like if you, especially for being a black man, right? If you do that little pose in front of a police officer, he has every right to shoot you because he has every intention to think that he has a gun, right? So this can mean a lot of things. It can mean like uh, death, the police, and just that little movement can say that just this little pose can make can it's just grounds to kill you, right? Just ground in American society. It's just so impactful, and you can see the students run away from him as soon as he does a little pose, right? Even though there's a police officer in the background, meaning that hey, they're kind of aware of what's happening in the background, and that police officer is behind them. But as you see, Daniel Gulliver just does that little pose. He pauses for a second. You can hear screaming in the background, and them just running away from Daniel Glover. Now Daniel Glover's all alone, and that little pause is just so impactful, right? And he just pulls out. I think that's a joint. I think that's a joint, right? He lights it up and everything, right? And the music starts, right? The little pose and that stop, right? It symbolizes just how sensitive America is now to, even though we're sensitive to gun violence and we know that it happens, as soon as it's in the vicinity of whatever it's happening of them, right, of our central ideology and our central like thinking of the our central thinking of performers, right, our ego, right, it's happening to us, right, as soon as it happens to us, we freak out. The students freak out in this case, and Daniel Glover's left alone. He just pauses just to let it sink in, right? As you can see, the guitarist is back. He's still blindfolded, right? That blindfold just proves that blindfold just tells us that ignorance, right? Ignorance is bliss. He'd rather be blindfolded. He'd rather be blindfolded than look at what's happening in the world. He'd rather be blindfolded and playing his guitar. And as you can see right here, you see Daniel Glover clams a pop. Like, do you remember back in the beginning of the video where that student had the little money thing, right here, right? Little students on top of a thing. Now Daniel Glover is doing the exact same thing, right? He's dancing on top of a car, right? Meaning he's higher than everybody else. He flicks his little doobie bag away, and he's just dancing with the chorus saying, "Hey, I'm above everybody else," or something like that. I'm above everybody else, and I think I'm the most important figure. And you can see, as you can see, he's dancing by himself. The students are no longer with him because they're scared shitless of him, or like they just don't want to be around him. Daniel Glover's dancing. He's doing his little jig, right, with the guitarist blindfolded behind him. You could say that this is just symbolism of our ignorance. Like, we just want to see performers act. We just want to see people do fun things, right? We don't want to see. We want to remain ignorant to the violence and to the corruption, or not the corruption, or the just basically ignorance towards like what's happening in the real world. We're just so fixated on social media. He even mentioned like, my followers, you owe me money, right? Because we're so fixated on him and his following and social media. We have literal blindfolds over our faces, and we just want to be entertained, right? Again, his little dance is always so puppet-like, right? Just puppets performing. You're always fixated on him, but the camera is no longer fixating on him. It's panning out, right, showing a bunch of Toyotas, right? For some odd reason, Toyotas are. I think this is symbolism toward like other artists, right? Other artists, showing a bunch of cars, right? How many cars they own, and just and the dude blindfolded playing the guitar, right? We're fixated on whatever he's doing, right? And this hot girl right here, right? And with all the cars, I think this is symbolism of just whatever the artist, or any artist, right? Because they're always portraying like having the most women, the most cars, having the most like top of the line clothing, right? Gucci, stuff like that. But Daniel Glover's making a statement that you don't have to, you don't have to have all that stuff in order to make an entertaining video or be talented, right? He's just dancing, doing his little jig. All these Toyotas are around him. There's one woman right here, just staring at you, right, with the blind man folded, right. You can just say that we're just, like I said before, right? Ignorance is bliss. All we want to do is be entertained and look at and just see a hot woman right there, right? Yeah. So you can hear that his black man get your money, black man get your money. It's just so prevalent in this this could be saying to him, right? He's just, or any black artist in the industry, right? Because all they want, all society wants from like artists, and especially black artists, is not to speak up on racial issues. Just entertain me, right? Entertain me. um I want to be blindfolded to the real world issues of the world. I want to be just entertained, right? It doesn't really matter if you're black, right? I want to entertain, and I'll give you money, right? So that could be one way of looking, showing this, right? Especially with all the tunes around him, right? I'll give you money, just entertain me. I don't want to listen to your rhetoric. I don't want to listen to your uh, thinking habits. I just want to be entertained. As you can see here, the camera is no longer interested. Our intention, that could be just intention spans, right? Even though he's popping, like he's dancing like a motherfucker, that could be symbolism of the American attention span. Like, we're done, right? He's just dancing, right? Nobody's following him. Nobody, the students are no longer following him. There's nothing happening in the background, and now the camera's not interested in Johnny Glover no more. We're panning out, right? This is very, very symbolistic, right? Daniel Glover's now running away from whatever he's running away, right? And I love how it comes out of and up, right? Meaning that this has to be a higher level of thinking, right? And we're thinking right here, Daniel Glover is thinking right here, right? Or this can mean like higher thinking or something like that. I could be just bullshitting this, but I think it means that our attention spans have to be elevated to show what's really happening, right? I love the symbolism, right? He's just running away from the darkness, right? This could be just any symbolism, right? And especially this, right? You can just see the white of his eyes, and he's just so scared of whatever this is, right? The empty darkness, right? This could mean a lot of things. It can mean like him running away from just ignorance itself, or him running away for whatever it is, right? But as you can see, as the video keeps going, right? Daniel Glover's now running away from apparently. I think this is. I want to say white people, but no, this person's black, right? I think he's just saying that in reality, we're always chasing after this icon, right? We're always chasing. Society is chasing this icon, right? And we're so fixated on this icon, he's suffocating from all the all the darkness, right? And you can see all these people are coming out of darkness. It's it's just suffocating, right? This whole scenario is suffocating. But all we want to see is like Daniel Glover, right? We're all following Daniel Glover. He's running. We also have to run with him. It can be like I say. This is a lot of symbolism, a lot of inferring this stuff. Like anybody can take any message from this, right? But I think I think the overall message of whatever Daniel Glover is saying, right? Him as a black performer, he has to be entertaining. He, if you say something about society, if you say something about like societal issues or cultural issues, people don't want that. They want to remain blissfully ignorant, right? With everything happening in the world, the gun violence, gun killings, the killings of black people, killing of the police killing people, right? We don't want to see that. We don't want artists to say that, right? All we want to do is remain entertained, right? And this symbolism right here, this picture right here, right, of Daniel Glover running away from a huge falling, right? It's just him being suffocated and just saying, I want to speak out on these things, but I can't because I'll be alienating my own community, or I'll be alienating my own fan base. It's just very impactful. And Daniel Glover, bravo. Many people are going to be speaking about this, hopefully forever, right? Because this is just art, right? Um, and hopefully I touched upon a bunch of stuff. Uh, and hopefully I don't get copyrighted in this video, right? Uh, well, thank you guys, and I hope you liked the video.